You're not distracted because the world got louder. You're distracted because something in you stopped guarding the door. There's a difference, and once you feel it, you cannot unfeel it. Because one is something that happened to you. The other is something that will keep happening until you learn what the samurai spent lifetimes understanding. Kenji was a young student of the sword. Not lazy, not careless. But every time he sat down to sharpen his mind, to study, to prepare, something pulled him away. A sound, a thought, the movement of something at the edge of his vision. By the end of each day, he had been busy for hours, but had been nowhere. His teacher watched this for a long time before speaking. One afternoon, the teacher placed a single candle on the floor between them. "Watch the flame," he said. "Nothing else." Kenji watched. For less than a minute, his attention held. Then it drifted, to the sound of wind, to the shadow on the wall, to a question forming in his mind about what this exercise was supposed to teach. The teacher said nothing. He simply waited. The next morning, Kenji tried again, and the morning after that. He sat with the candle and felt his attention slide away like water from a tilted bowl. Smooth, almost invisible, already gone before he noticed. After one of these sessions, Kenji looked up in frustration. The teacher said, "You are trying to hold your attention. That is the problem. You are treating your mind like a wild thing to be gripped, but the mind is not a wild thing." He paused. "It is a door, and you have left it open." Kenji returned to his practice with this image. He began small. One morning without noise before training. One meal eaten without distraction. He was careful, deliberate, and it worked for a while. The quiet he had created began to feel uncomfortable. Not peaceful. Uncomfortable. In the silence, things surfaced that the noise had been covering. Regrets he hadn't named. Questions about his path that felt too large to answer. A formless unease he couldn't explain. He reached for his phone. For a sound. For anything. And in that moment, he understood something his teacher had not said directly. The noise had never been the problem. He had been using it as an answer. This is what the samurai called ichinen, one instant of mind. The literal meaning is one determined thought, a single moment of complete presence. But the deeper teaching is this. The quality of every moment depends on where your attention lives, inside it. A mind that cannot hold steady for one breath cannot hold steady for a life. The samurai understood that the mind, left unguarded, would fill itself with whatever was nearest and loudest. This was not a character flaw. It was simply what minds do without practice. So they trained ichinen. Not through force, not through willpower, but through returning. Each time the attention drifted, they brought it back. Without judgment, without drama. Like adjusting a flame. And from that practice grew something they called Zanshin, remaining mind. Not a straining form of vigilance, a posture. The warrior who has practiced ichinen long enough no longer has to fight to stay present. The presence simply remains, like warmth in a room after the fire has been lit. Kenji sat again with the candle. The flame moved in a small current of air. He watched it lean, recover, lean again. When his attention drifted, and it did, he did not reach for distraction. He did not fight the drift either. He simply noticed, and returned. The flame held his gaze, not because he forced it, but because he stopped running. Over weeks, the silence changed. Not because the difficult things disappeared, but because he was no longer afraid of them. He had stopped filling the space, and the space, it turned out, was not empty. It never had been. The practice is not complicated, but it is real. What leaves you restless does not need to be eliminated. It needs to be met, one moment at a time. 1. Tomorrow morning, before any screen, sit in silence for 3 minutes. Not to clear your mind, just to notice where it goes. 2. Choose one thing today to do without distraction. One meal, one walk, one conversation. Give it your full attention and nothing else. 3. When your mind drifts, and it will, do not judge it. Simply return. That return is the practice. It is enough. What is the one thing you've been filling silence to avoid? Drop it in the comments, or just sit with it. Thank you for being here. Somewhere, the candle still burns. The flame does not chase the shadows. It simply remains, and the door stays open only as wide as you allow.